Let's take a look at the heart of Presley, which is the assignments. If you click on assignments on the left sidebar, you'll be brought to this dashboard where you'll see all the assignments that have been created at your campus. So this is all across all publications and across all staffs. So you can filter this by publication, the status, the assignee, or the section, which I recommend doing, especially for students if you're just trying to find your own assignments. You can filter it by using this drop down and selecting yourself. You can also search for assignments if you know the title of it. And then you can also view it in a couple different ways. So this is the list view where it's going to just be a big long list of every assignment in alphabetical order. Then you have the board view, which breaks it up by status. And you can click and drag and move assignments from one status to the next, similar to Trello. And then you have a calendar view, which again, you can filter by publication or section or assignee and see when things are due on a calendar. So let's go back to list view because that's where our add assignment button is. And we're going to go ahead and create a new one. So a sidebar will pop up and it will give you the options to create your new assignment. So I'm going to go ahead and call it demo new assignment. And then I need to attribute it to a publication. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on our demo yearbook number 2. And then you have to tell it a status that it needs to be. So this status is really important for a couple of different reasons. One, it's what funnels this assignment into that board view under a column. It also is what will total up into that dashboard of the publications that has the number of pages in each status. So every single assignment has to have a status at any given point. The easiest one is just put them all at not started and then have your students be in charge of making sure that these are accurate whenever the assignment moves from status to status. So for right now, I'm going to go ahead and say that this has not been started yet. Notice these are the only 3 fields that are required. Everything else is optional at this point. You can go ahead and really quickly create all of your assignments and then later have your students go back and fill in all the details. For the sake of demonstration, I'm going to go ahead and fill in the page numbers. I'm going to say that this is the assignment for page 2 and 3. I'm going to say that it's assigned to our demo student here. Notice this is a drop down. This is going to show you all of the students that are part of your campus that have joined using that unique school ID. So you'll see all your students there. You can also begin typing their name if you have a lot of students and it's a long list. Go ahead and start typing their name and it'll pop up. Then you can give it a due date and we're going to go ahead and say Friday. Now, notice there is only one due date listed for this assignment. In the future, we have plans of adding subtasks and also additional due dates because we know that staffs structure their deadlines in a lot of different ways. You might have a rough draft and a final draft and a date that it's due to your advisor and a date that it's due to your editor, a date that it's due as a proof, a date that it's due as a final page that's being submitted, a date that you have to submit it to your principal maybe. There's lots of different ways to structure your deadlines or mini deadlines within your staff. And we want Presley to reflect however your staff works best. So that probably will require multiple deadlines or potentially subtasks in the future where you have different things that are needed to complete the assignment, such as completing your interviews, completing your research, doing a rough draft of your layout, getting your photos, selecting your photos. All of those things could be additional sub-assignments underneath this main one. But as of right now, in order to keep it simple, we have one due date for each assignment. Now, one option that you could do is create multiple assignments for each spread, for instance. So if you have the football spread and you have multiple people working on it, first of all, you can assign this to multiple students. So you can put them all as responsible for it and it'll show up in all of their dashboards and they'll all be able to know that it's assigned to them. The other thing you can do is create multiple assignments for one particular spread. So the idea would be that the assignment name would be the spread, but you could also break that down further. So let's say that we want this to be page 2 and 3, demo new assignment is the title, and then we want this to be just the copy. You can totally do that. There's no limit to the amount of assignments that you can create. There's no restrictions on the naming convention. You guys can come up with your own system of how you want to organize your own Presley. I do recommend a naming convention for everything, just to keep things consistent and really clean. You don't want your students to be naming things crazy. They call it football, but then they actually have the freshman football page, and then there's another page called football, but it's the varsity football page, and you can't tell the difference. So you want to be as descriptive as possible. And so sitting down with your staff, or at least your editors, or deciding ahead of time as the advisor, what is our naming convention going to be? That will help keep things consistent. So things like adding the page number or adding the specific task to it, that will help make sure that it's really clear exactly what the assignment is about. So we're just, again, for now, going to call it demo new assignment. And then we have 3 places to drop the link to where you can find your content. So this is designed with intention. There is no ability to upload anything to Pressly at all whatsoever. Unfortunately, that means we can't put like profile photos and stuff like that, but that's to comply with student data and privacy regulations across the country. Also, it does keep your data more secure because the data is maintained on your own ownership of your school district within their own ecosystem. So what we recommend doing is creating a Google Drive, a shared folder, something that all of your students have access to, and then making, again, file naming conventions and an organized system to organize your photos, organize your page folders, organize your copy, and then post links to that asset here. So the idea is it's a lot faster to go in when you're in Pressly every day. You're going and looking at your page. You have a link directly there to your photos without having to go dig through 10,000 folders in Google Drive to be able to find that particular page's photo folder. Same thing with the main content. Maybe you have a folder for each spread and you have a document where you've taken notes and you've thrown in information and ideas and modules and sketches and stuff like that. Drop that link to that main content here, as well as the copy. That could be in its own document as well. The other option with the main content link in particular is if you're using Yearbook Publisher software and they give you a direct link to a particular spread, then you can go ahead and drop that link in here and it will lead you directly to it. You'll probably have to log in, obviously, but that can be a lot faster too than navigating through their software and to that page if they offer a link. Not all of them do, but that would be another quick way to just tie everything together. Then in your description, that is where you can basically brain dump everything that you have related to this assignment. So for a yearbook spread, for instance, you might have module ideas. You might have dates of big events. You might have, if it's football, maybe you have the date of their parent night, their senior night, their banquet. You have their captains' names and contact info. You have their, different ideas for modules that you might have, a timeline, a before and after, a how-to, whatever it is. You can use rich formatting in this, which means you can do bold, italics, underline, you can do bullet points, and there's no limit for this either. So you can drop in more links if you have them. You can just link to Pinterest with different module ideas, anything that you are inspired by, and anybody can add to this as well. So even if someone is assigned to this assignment and somebody has an idea, they are welcome to add, as long as you guys as a staff decide that that's okay. You want to make sure that that's communicated to your staff what the expectation is. Are they allowed to go in and edit each other's description, or should that only be the person in charge of the page? That's up to you guys. But you can edit this as much as you want to your heart's content, and there, like I said, there is no limit. So once you have that filled out, I'm just going to go for the sake of demonstration and put in some fake links here. One more note about the description that I wanted to point out is it might be helpful for you as the advisor, either with your editors or your staff, or just as a decision before school starts, is to determine a template for this description so students can be guided on the kinds of things that they should put in the description. So I have an example right here where you could give your students a guide on what they could put here. So for instance, coverage, place all your ideas in here, things to not forget. Module ideas, as you guys are brainstorming at the beginning of the year, put your different ideas for different modules. This is also great if you need content later in the year for the index, for instance. You can come back to these ideas here and pull things that you might not have used. Sources, you might have like your captain information, your head coach. This information is also going to be in your coverage planner though, but it could be helpful to copy over into here as your staff is planning. Then you might have your links here. So depending on your production workflow and your deadlines, you might have your editor draft PDF, your advisor feedback PDF, all these different things that, are that would be filled in with the links as the year progresses. And then lastly, you could also include your deadlines. So for right now, because like I said, this assignment only has one final deadline, you could include your mini deadlines here in the description to make sure that they're top of mind for your staff as they're, going through production. Once you have all of that filled out, go ahead and hit create new assignment, and it will take you to the assignment details after it's been created. So here we have the assignment details page. So up at the top, you have the ability to edit the assignment. You also have the ability to export a PDF of the assignment if you need to refer to it for any reason. There are always times where you need a documented proof of some sort of conversation, discourse, plan, idea, and that export PDF gives the ability to do that right there. Under edit assignment, it looks very similar to how it did when you created the assignment. It gives you all the same options here, and you can edit the description as well. You can also edit by column. So right here, you have your assignment specifications. So all of the information that you put in here is where it will display. These are direct links, so you can go ahead and click that, and it'll go directly to wherever you linked right here. And so if you hit edit assignment specs, it'll just show you those specific things that are in that column to be able to edit. Notice you can't edit the description here. And then this column is just the description. So just because there's a lot of information to go sift through here under edit assignment, we felt like it would be easier for you to be able to edit specific things under each box. So that's why that's broken up, just in case you were curious. But that is to help, make sure that it's easy to navigate. So like I said, there's no limit to this. Go ahead, throw in all the information you could possibly think of that your heart desires, and use that as a reference point and kind of a brain dump area. Below that, we have the comment section, which is really where your staff will collaborate with each other. So first thing is you can enable or disable notifications. You probably don't want to have notifications on for every single assignment, because you will get an email for every single comment that is left on every single assignment. If a bunch of comments are left in a rapid sequence, it will batch them, which is great. But if you, just so you know, if you have them enabled for 200 assignments, that's going to be a lot of emails. So just kind of keep that in mind. You can also create a filter in your email if you just want to throw them in there. We're working on different ways to do this. There might be an email digest or something like that. But as of right now, it'll send you an email for every single comment unless they're left in rapid sequence. So here you can leave a comment with your feedback. So you can say like, great job on this draft. Excited to see how it turns out. And then you can put, here is my feedback. And it might be a link to a Google Drive document, a PDF that you've annotated on your iPad. It might be notes in the publisher software that a mechanism, is built in. And so you're linking back to that main content. I always think it's helpful, even though the link is right here, just drop the link in the comments as well. So that way they have that really quick. You can link as well in these comments. If you highlight the text, you can go ahead and add the link directly to the text that you've put there. You can also do a couple formatting things like bold and, like I said, italics, underline, and bullets and numbers, which is helpful. And then when you hit submit, it shows up under your name and when you commented, which is really helpful because we always love timestamps to know when things happened. Personally, I don't care if my students are working late at night. However, it's helpful to know if they are working late at night right before the deadline and haven't made any progress until then. But, it's all time-stamped in there for you. You can also do some emojis if you'd like. You can add anything that you want to say, thanks so much for this. You can add multiple emojis. This is going to be developed further to show a little bit more information about who is speaking and stuff like that. But as of right now, you can leave some simple kind of reactions. So that is the assignments module and assignments feature tied to publications. This is really the heart, like I said, of Pressly. This is where your staff is going to be working, collaborating. This description box really is the main area where they're going to just dump all of their ideas. And the part of project management that we really want students to be able to grasp is planning and documentation. It's great if our students have yearbook on their mind and they're thinking through ideas and they have it all in their head, but it doesn't really mean much until it's documented somewhere, and then that is when it becomes a plan. So we designed Pressly to be not only a way for you to organize your yearbook production, but also teach kids project management. We don't want to create work for the sake of work. Keeping this assignment interface updated is less important than it is to be a tool to help you think through and organize the process of production. So don't feel like you have to fill out everything. For instance, this section right here, if you don't organize your book in the way that this section gives you options for, then don't worry about it. In the future, you'll have the ability to customize that section. But for right now, if you don't use that, then leave it blank. That's totally fine. Don't feel like you or your students have to necessarily use Pressly in this particular way. But I'd love to hear that feedback as well. If there's things that you would like to see or ways that your staff works that you would love the ability to have represented in here, please let me know. Please leave that feedback because we are in the please let me know. Please leave that feedback because we are continually developing and improving and, adding to what is already here. All right, so now that we have this assignment created, I'm just going to go back and show you what we looked at first is the assignments dashboard where you have the ability to view by list. So now we have our 2 here. Notice we have the due dates as well as the status color coded. We have the ability to edit as well right here, and advisors have the ability to delete. Students cannot delete anything, only advisors can. And advisors can delete everything. Then we have our board view. So as we said, we have the demo new assignment, which is not started, and we have the demo assignment, which is on hold. Notice if I click and drag this over to in progress, and then I go back to my list view, I might need to refresh it, but it will update to say that it's now in progress. Lastly, we have the calendar view where you can view the assignments on the calendar and filter by student or staff, publication, whatever it is you'd like to see.